Hey, good morning. I'm going to ask that everybody please turn their cell phones off. Thank you. I'm Freeholder Director Tom Mastrangelo, and on behalf of my colleagues of the Morris County Freeholder Board, I welcome each and every one of you here this morning as we dedicate the Clerk of the Board office to former Clerk of the Board, Ilene St. I had not had the pleasure to know you. I have not had the pleasure to work with you as a freeholder when you were clerk of the board. But based on this wonderful turnout that we have here today, that tells me all these people hold you in high regard and high esteem. And it also tells me that you're a kind, genuine, wonderful person. And have you here, and what I'd like to do now is bring up Freeholder Deputy Director Dave Scapicchio to mention some of the people we have here in the crowd today. Freeholder.
Thank you, Tom. Good morning. I too want to congratulate Ilene on this special occasion. I'll be introducing the individuals who are seated here with Ilene, and I would ask that you hold your applause until the end. We have a very nice program that we'd like to get through here. You all know Governor, former Freeholder Chris Christie, Congressman. I owe somebody breakfast.
If you keep going, it's going to be.
And Congressman and former Freeholder Rodney Freelandmeyer. Freeholder Doug Cabana, Freeholder John Cesaro, Freeholder John Krickus, Freeholder Hank Lyon. Freeholder Ann Grossi is vacationing with her family, but she also sends her congratulations to Ilene. Senator and former Freeholder Anthony Bucco, Senator and former Freeholder Joe Panaccio, Assemblyman Anthony Bucco, Assemblywoman Betty Lou DeCroce, the President and CEO of New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority, Wayne Hasselback, Morris County Clerk Joan Bromhall, Acting Morris County Prosecutor Fred Knapp, Morris County Surrogate John Pecoraro, Morris County Sheriff Ted Rodford, the Honorable Michael Hubner, County College of Morris President Dr. Ed Yaw, former State Senator and former Freeholder Leanna Brown, former Freeholder Bill Chedwigan, former Freeholder Frank Drusler, former Freeholder Gene File, former Freeholder and former Sheriff John Fox sends his regrets, former Freeholder John Inglesino, former Freeholder Patricia Maynard, former Freeholder Jim Murray, former Freeholder Margaret Nordstrom, representing former Freeholder Peter O'Hagan is his wife Barbara. We have former Freeholder Jack Schreier, former Freeholder John Setti, former Morris County Clerk Joe Bell, former County Administrator Jim Rosenberg, former Clerk of the Freeholder Board Virginia Shea, former Director of Planning and Development Walter Pritch, former Community Development Director Grace LeVar, former Labor Relations Director John McGill, former Human Services Director Carol Norvit. And that is it. Thank you.
Okay, one of the many individuals who worked with Ilene as a freeholder over the years has been Congressman Rodney Freelandmeyer. So I'd like to bring the Congressman up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Congressman, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Let me thank the freeholders for pulling together the county family, and any of us who've worked in the courthouse complex knows what a remarkable gathering this is. There's a lot of emotion and history and institutional memory here in this Pat Man. It's historic in many ways, and we're here to pay tribute to Ilene St. John, one of my favorites. I happened to be a freeholder in 1981 when she was hired by Virginia Shea. We've known each other for a long time, so this is payback time, and I'll be very brief. Perhaps the most appropriate present for her, and she can collect them when I'm through, is a flag that's flown over the U.S. Capitol to honor her service. And I'll give it to her. And many years ago, when she worked for Virginia, and we had a big party, I said, "Where are the donuts?" She said, "I've sent them down to Buildings and Grounds." I found them, here they are. And somebody said, "Why the hell are you bringing in a paper bag? Looks like you're carrying beer." Yes, I am. Now, there are no reporters here. There's no alcohol allowed in the courthouse. As you know, Ilene St. John lives on the edge of Lake Apacom. I see somebody writing back there. Go right. And I don't know how many beer cans made it into the water. I'm sure it never happened. But whatever it is, here's some refills. God bless you, Ilene. Thank you.
Congressman, are the donuts fresh?
Oh, no, they're the same ones.
Of the 7 current freeholders, Doug Cabana's friendship goes back 25 years with Ilene, and we feel it's only appropriate for Doug to come up and say a few words about this long-lasting relationship. Doug?
Thank you. You know, I'm so happy to see so many people here this morning. This truly is a who's who of Morris County government over the last 20 years. And there's not many people who could have been able to assemble such a distinguished group of people here this morning than Ilene. I met Ilene in early 1990 when I became part of the Morris County League of Municipalities, and I was able to serve with her for many years when I became a freeholder in 1997. You know, the easy part of the job was the part of doing the minutes, you know, getting the board agenda ready, running the meeting, because I only really ran the meeting, you know, we didn't. And, well, you know, she was a speed reader. If we didn't have the agendas up there, we wouldn't have known what she was saying, because she went through this stuff so quick. When she read her resolution, nobody knew what she said. Now, she learned well from Virginia, I'm sure, and Ilene was really good in teaching Diane, so meetings go well. But the easy part, that was the easy part. The harder part was the freeholders. Now, Margaret always said when she was director that being director, one of the roles was kind of like herding cats, you know, because we're all different personalities. We all did our own thing. And that was the hard part, because Ilene had 7 different personalities she had to deal with. And, you know, when somebody else comes on, now we had strong-willed people, right? She didn't say it was easy, it is right, because it's not. And then all of a sudden, just when you get used to a freehold, boom, there goes somebody's gone, we got another one. And over the years, and you can see everybody came today. It was wonderful. But, you know, in those years, you could always confide in Ilene. And we would go to the office, and she would tell you like it is, no matter what. You were always greeted with a smile. And she made you feel warm and welcome, and she cared. But the other thing is, she never betrayed a confidence. You know, in all her years here, she was always able to predict the outcome of an election. And I couldn't figure it out. That's what, you're gonna win, you're gonna win. Well, at least she was right on something. But I wondered how. It finally dawned on me how it happened, because everyone confided in her. And she knew everybody's game plan, but she never told anybody. And that was the beauty of her service here at the county. I mean, anybody walked in, they were treated respectfully. They were treated like she wanted to be treated. That's how she did everybody with the public. And I think that is one of Ilene's traits that we do miss now that she's retired. Because, you know, the county goes on, but it's just so wonderful to see so many people from the Morris County family that we've had over the last 20 years be here to show that they care and they love Ilene, and that's what we're here. Now, Ilene's referred to this as her special day, and truly it is. But for those of us assembled here today, we're here for a very special person, and that's Ilene.
Yes.
Thank you, Doug. Great words. Earlier, I said you can tell based on the turnout here today that Ilene is held in the highest regard. And if that's not a good indication, our next speaker certainly is, because it's not every day you get the governor to come out and do a dedication to an office. As you all know, Governor Chris Christie served on the Morris County Freeholder Board from 1995 to 1997, and during that time, he got to know Ilene extremely well and built quite a friendship with Ilene. And at this point, I'd like to introduce the great governor of New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie.
Good morning. I don't know who the hell Doug was talking about. I think Rodney, you know, we all know Rodney's strong-willed, but there was no reason to call him out. After the presentation of the flag and the donuts and the beer. You know, this place has always surprised me. I haven't always caught up to it in time to catch up to the surprise, but if you had told me nearly 20 years ago, when I became a freeholder, that 20 years later I'd be here participating in the dedication of the clerk's office to Ilene, I wouldn't have been surprised. If you had told me that I was going to come here as governor, I would have been significantly surprised. But that would have paled in comparison if you would have told me that Congressman Freelandheiser would have been here presenting alcohol as part of the ceremony, where I would have gotten off the train, everybody. I think that would have happened. I really, really appreciate the invitation to come today. You know, I was 32 years old when I walked into this place as a new freeholder. And Ilene was one of the people who actually welcomed me warmly. Her and Jack O'Keefe, that was about it. The great thing about Ilene, as Doug mentioned, was that when you became a freeholder, she became your friend. She made it her business to become your friend. And it was not just because she worked with you. It was because she really had genuine respect and affection for everybody who was willing to step up and serve in this capacity. And I always felt, Ilene felt it was her job, whether we liked it or not, to try to make this as pleasant as possible for us, to try to make us feel as comfortable as possible, to try to make us feel as informed as we could be. And also, as Doug pointed out, to try to gently, nicely point out the landmines to us. Whether we chose to step on them or not, Ilene at least felt it was her job to say, you know, if you go over that way, that could get a little difficult. She did that for everybody. No matter whether you were an incumbent who was reelected or you were a challenger who was new on board. Whether you had been here for a dozen years or you were here in your first few days. And the other part of Ilene's approach to her job was her extraordinary honesty. And you know, Eileen never, ever allowed you to be steered wrong. And in a political context, that's often extraordinarily challenging. While also doing what Doug said she did, which is absolutely the truth in my experience, which was never to betray a confidence. It is sometimes difficult to be able to pull both those things off at the same time. To never betray confidence, but also never to do anything but tell someone the truth. And she's able to do both. That's a really special personality that's able to pull that off. And a really special set of core values and beliefs that Eileen's lived her whole life by. Not just her service here, but her whole life has been a testimony to that. I can also tell you that once you leave, whether it is voluntary or involuntary, she still treats you the same. It doesn't matter. And that's why I said earlier that it wasn't about, her friendship wasn't just about her job here. Once you became part of the family, you were part of the family. And whether your political career was up, down, or over, Eileen still treated you exactly the same way, with the same measure of respect, and with the same type of warm friendship and caring, not only about you, but your family. Whenever I call and speak to Eileen, her first questions are always about my children, always. About how my children are, what are they doing, where are they, about Mary Pat, and then eventually she gets around to me. But your family becomes a part of her family when you served here. And that's really special in politics. For those of us who've had the opportunity not only to serve here, but to serve in other offices, we know that that's not always the case. In fact, to be honest, it's the exception. Usually, once you lose or you retire, the phone stops ringing, and the people who always returned your phone calls really quickly don't. The folks who used to be what you thought were your best friends can't remember your wife's name or your children's names. You're no longer going to do anything for them, and therefore, you recede to the back part of the brain. The really exceptional person in public life is the person who doesn't fall victim to that. And she never has fallen victim to that, ever. And I think if you talk to any of the former freeholders who are sitting in this room, whether they've moved on to other political pursuits or whether they've just moved back to their families and are pursuing other things in their lives, they would tell you exactly what I'm telling you. That this is a really, really exceptional person. And that, in fact, her level of kindness and attention in what is the exact opposite for most people in politics increases when you're at your lowest point. She's not the person who's running around and hugging you after you've won. She's the person who's got her arm around you and is counseling you during the most difficult periods. And that's also a really special person in public life. And I'll tell you one quick story about that. As some of you may vaguely recall, the Republican Party suggested to me in 1997 that I pursue another profession. And they did not do so gently. It was rather emphatic. And I also had the kind of awkward sense of being the director of the board when that happened. So, you kind of get murdered in June, and the corpse still has to run the place from June to December, which is, awkward. And I was sitting in that office in the back next to Eileen for that entire period of time. And she never treated me any differently after the primary than she did before it. And then came the end of my term, when I came in here to pack up all my things out of the office and to leave. And she was in that office helping me. And in fact, the day that she was helping me pack, a story came out in the Star Ledger about me leaving. And in fact, the guy who wrote that is here. And to show you that Despite my public reputation, I am a kind and forgiving person. Because Larry Ragney's now is a part of the Christie administration. But Larry wrote a once promising political career comes to an end. Shows you how much they know, huh? But that's a pretty difficult day, right? You're 35 years old, and you are being pronounced in the state's largest newspaper as having your political career end 3 years after it began. And so it was a kind of tough day to come in and read that and then pack. And Ilene was helping me pack, and she never brought the story up. She's helping me pack boxes, we're getting things together, we're taking things off the walls. She never brought it up. And so finally, I did, because I couldn't take it anymore. I needed someone to say something to me about it, and I said to Ilene, you know, so did you read Larry's story this morning? And she said, I did. And I said, what do you think? And she came over and she grabbed my hand and she said, he's wrong. I can't tell you at that moment how much that meant to me. From someone who had seen a lot and been through a lot of ups and downs with lots of different people. To have somebody who I really respected and cared about give me even the smallest amount of encouragement at a moment that was really a pretty sad moment for me. And so, you know, Ilene now, of course, is the smartest woman in the world. Because if anybody thought for a second after that scene and everything else she's done for me, I wasn't going to be here this morning, you've got to be kidding. You remember your friends. You remember your friends in this business. If you want to be good at what you do, you remember your friends. And you stand with your friends when they're up and when they're down. And you don't put your finger in the wind to decide who you believe in. She's never, ever done that. And so for all the tributes that Ilene have heard already this morning, will continue to hear over the course of time, I don't think there's any better tribute you can say to about someone than when they decide that you're worth it, they stand with you, no matter what. That's a really special person. And so I hope that for all of you who are here today and have had the opportunity to know Ilene, as the years go on and this plaque is hanging in this building, that when people ask about Ilene and what she means to this place and to the people who have served with her and been her friend, I hope that's what you say about her. Because it will be the first thing that I always say about her and still say about her today, is when she believes in you, she stands with you. And that's a real testimony to her. So now, Ilene, I'm supposed to present this plaque to you, which you only have temporarily, because then they're going to hang it up. And maybe someone will give you a picture of it or something. Yes, and it reads, the office of the Clerk of the Board dedicated to Ilene St. John, Clerk of the Board from 1991 to 2008, in recognition of her years of exemplary service to the County of Morris. Nobody deserves it more, and no governor could be more honored to be someplace than I am to be here today.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is going to be beyond brief, because between Doug and Chris and Tom, they've taken everything. I would like to say that it'll be 5 years ago, this December, that Walter and I retired. And I cannot believe that I'm in a room with all of my wonderful friends once again. I thought that would never happen. I'm still pinching myself this just doesn't seem real. I think I'm gonna wake up and say, well, it was a nice dream. It's just fabulous. Director Tom, thank you so much for your kind remarks, and the current Freeholder Board for the honor that you're bestowing on me today. I feel very humbled and truly undeserving, but most appreciative. The position of Clerk of the Board is a gift. It's a wonderful career. It's always something new and challenging every day. You go to work with the best department heads in the world, constitutional officers, administrators, county councils, judges. We had such a great team, and I'm sure it exists today. All anyone had to do is make a phone call for help, and it was done. It happened. You never had a, no, I can't do it, I'm too busy. Somebody was there to help you. That's why County of Morris is #1. And also with our elected officials, they have earned all of their elections. Many of them have been councilmen, mayors, freeholders, which have ascended to assemblymen, congressmen, senators. They know Morris County, and that's why they continue to be reelected, and they do such a fabulous job. Chris, your appearance here today is so appreciated by my family and me. Thank you for your participation and for taking time out of your hectic schedule. And this is funny about your speech and mine. I do wonder where the years have gone. I saw you and Mary Pat and the kids on TV, and I thought of Lo those many years ago when Andrew was about 3 and would come running down my hall, hop on my lap, and start banging on the typewriter. He loved the typewriter, and he's just adorable. And then Sarah came along, but she was so tiny and new that I never really got to know her. And then, of course, through Christmas cards, I can see Bridget and Patrick. And I want to say you and Mary Pat have a beautiful, beautiful family. And I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud to know you. You'll always, you always make time for old friends. And I just can't believe that I'm reiterating what this eloquent man has it. You know, it's cruel to put me up at this position. My family and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Someone told me that Doug Douglas had a large part in planning today's event. I thank you for all that you did to make this such a special day, Doug, and I know that you spent a lot of time and on your busy career and freeholder and everything else. And I think I thank the staff of Johnny B. and John himself. I'm sure he's here.
Right here.
Blame it on the chemo. And the Clerk of the Board, Diane, Susan, and Janet, for all the time that they had to, that they devoted to this special event, and along with their regular work. I know how busy that office is, and to take this on, I appreciate it tremendously. And I would like to introduce my family at this time. Our daughters, Jill, Susan, Debbie, my sons-in-laws, Donnie and Noel. I'm going by age. And my wonderful grandchildren, DJ, Melissa, and Jordan. My cousin Greg, my sister-in-law, and my brother-in-law from Florida, just for today. And my niece, and again, Tom said, it's our, Dave, today is like who's who in Morris County. I swear to God, they must have pricked my notes somewhere. Please forgive me for not mentioning everyone individually. All of you mean so much to me. And when I look out at these faces and think of all of the wonderful stories, and some funny, some tearjerkers, but always, always, they were stories from people that I love. They just felt so comfortable with me, and I felt comfortable with them. I even have a van rider that he started in high school that came to see me today, and now he's 21. And thank you, Rod. I'll enjoy the beer. And most of all, I'm flabbergasted at the flag. I thank you so very much. That is a tribute beyond what I would ever imagine. Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you out there for your phone calls, emails, cards, and flowers. Some days I'm not up to returning, and some days I have a good day, so please forgive me if I haven't returned the phone call. They all mean so much to me. And I would like to end by saying God has given me a wonderful life, and it certainly isn't over. Obviously, when I got news in May, I never thought I would have this spectacular day ahead of me. And he is just right here on my shoulder every single day. And the love and support of all my friends and family like you, that's what keeps me going through the tough times. And I want you to know that I am stronger than the storm.
Well, that's two tough acts to follow. So we're getting towards the end of our program. Ilene, you obviously have touched a lot of people over the years, and it's been said friendship is like a sheltering tree, and with all the people here today, you not only have a tree, but you have an entire forest. And that's great, that's fantastic, and that's an accomplishment in life when you have this type of support from friends like this. On behalf, could you come up for a minute?
Chris, I'd like to drink a beer later.
On behalf of the Freeholder Board, I'd like to present you with these flowers.
Oh my God.
For the admiration and the accomplishments that you made, not only as a clerk of the board, but as a real genuine great person.
Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Tom. Thank you very much.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Ilene and her family, thank you again for sharing in this special day. The plaque is across the hall and it's mounted on the wall, so I invite you to go and view the plaque. I also invite you to have some refreshments in room 526, and thank you once again. Governor, thank you for coming here today out of your building. So with that, that concludes our dedication, and thank you again.